Hi friends, it's Wednesday and I don't like spiritual maturity. Wait, that sounds... Alright, that might sound like a weird thing to hear from a pastor who spends every day trying to help people love Jesus, but let me explain what I mean. Sometimes when people talk about spiritual maturity, to me, it just sort of sounds like bragging. Like when somebody says that they're really humble. You just sort of see right through it. Maybe it's because one of the core ideas of the Christian faith is that we are saved by grace, that we do nothing to earn God's love and acceptance. It is simply the free gift that He's given us. But sometimes it feels like this has a caveat. Like now that you've been saved by grace, it's time to get to work. Lots of Christians are given this prescription early in their faith, and they're told that a real Christian wakes up early for quiet time with God and goes on long prayer walks and does daily devotions at Starbucks and shows up to church on time and is in a small group and an accountability group. They fast from meals, they pray before meals and before bed, and they should probably keep the daily hours. If I'm being honest, sometimes I feel like spiritual maturity is just a long exercise in feeling like a failure. But what's interesting is that each of these spiritual disciplines probably would, in some way, help me love God and love others more. It's not that they're bad things to do, I'm just bad at them. Maybe you're in the same boat. You'd love to grow in your faith and love and serve others more, but you just kind of suck at it. Here's my advice to you. Stop trying to be a better Christian. You don't have to improve. You don't have to strive in your energy anymore. God has set you free from having to prove anything to anyone else. He set you free from having to spiritually self-improve. You are good, you undisciplined mess. And that is actually good news. When the scriptures talk about spiritual growth, they often use language like hunger and thirst. It's not so much about the external pressure to grow in our faith, but the internal desire to be more like Jesus. That as you hear the good news and are filled with God's Spirit and spend time around others who push you towards Jesus, you just become so thirsty, you... I didn't drink water all day so that would work. You just need to drink up. We don't have to set goals and chart out a strategy. We just have to become more aware of the good desires that are already in us. You can't make yourself thirsty. You can just wake up to the fact that you're dying for a glass of cold water. As I've matured in my faith, I've had seasons of exhaustion where I'm just burned out and I felt myself desiring the rest that God can give. And so we started taking a day of rest every week. When I run on empty and I'm feeling frustrated and unplugged from God, I need to plug into times of prayer and into the biblical story. Now there might be times for challenging ourselves or being challenged for others. I'm not saying that that never happens, but if I'm really being honest, the times that spiritual disciplines have clicked and become a real part of my life was never because of an outside pressure to be better. It always started with an internal desire. So this week of Lent, here's my challenge to you. Pay attention to your desires. What hunger do you have in you? What thirst do you have in you? And how might God satisfy that by inviting you into some new practice of faith, whether it's prayer or scripture reading or community? Start with your desires, and you'll find that these different spiritual disciplines, these ways to grow, are no longer a heavy burden, but they become a good gift. Alright, that's it for this week. We are back on that Good Word Wednesday train. So every Wednesday during the season of Lent, there's going to be a new video. They won't be as fancy as the Tension of Lent video that Sean and I did, but we'll have one coming out and I'll give you an update at the end of one of the next videos for the rest of those pretty video series. This video was actually based off a sermon that I preached back at the beginning of January. So if you want to listen to that, go into your podcast app and type in Eucharist Church, and then look for the sermon from early January called I Want to Want What You Want. Grace and peace. I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you next Wednesday.